Hey, Peace Collective. This is Candace Green. I'm so happy to be with you for Cherishedflight Live. This is the season finale for season 1 of Cherishedflight Live, and I am just super excited today. I'm so excited because I have Nicole and Ziba. She is of the Caftan Cutie movement. She's here with me as we will be talking about so much, but definitely about the Caftan Cutie. So say hi, Nicole.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Candace. Hello to Candace's Peace Collective. Hello to my friends and family. And hey, cuties. Good to see everybody.
I'm proud to be one of those cuties as well. But we are here today talking about what we find or how we have found the peace of God in a variety of ways and things that we are doing day to day to maintain that peace. And when Nicole started this whole movement that just exploded, I said, oh, I've got to get her on here just to talk about everything, but how this is impacting so many different women and men, because there's some Caftan Cutie guys who are a part of our community. But we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, Nicole, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm so excited to be here. You have no idea. Guys, Candace and I have talked about collaborating on something, anything, for a very long time. Like we've had, I can't even tell you how many conversations about we really should do something together. And then it's like, I don't know what we should do together, but we got to do something. We talked about a book. We talked about so many different things.
And, I found those notes in Evernote too.
I probably still have it on my phone because it's just so many things that we've always talked about. And for the planets to align, it's really, really amazing. And when you reached out to me, you were like, I want to add a 6th day to my series and have you talk about Caftan Cuties. I was like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? So I'm excited. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy to be here. Like all morning long, I've been like, okay, all right, they set up my camera, check the lighting. Like you would think I was going on the network news. I'm just so excited.
Well, and you know what? I'm elated that you are excited because when I saw what you were posting and your videos and blog and all, I was like, yes, we're on the same page. So
I was a little bit excited about it.
Hey, but I love it.
Quite sick of me. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, guys, what to wear, what to do.
Hey, but this is some serious stuff, and we really, I think, our conversation today is going to be fun. It's going to be enlightening, and I think a lot of people who are going to be watching are going to have a good time.
I hope so.
We already have some folks who are putting up. So Christine Michelle says, Nick, I'm here. I'm so happy to support you.
Be more Brooklyn fam.
So this is definitely a community conversation. So as we're talking, I can see your comments popping up. So if you have any questions or comments or just want to put some posts up to support, please do. We definitely welcome those, and I'll read them out to you. So we have a lot to cover, so I want to just jump right in the pool.
All right, let's go.
And knowing and understanding that this woman you're looking at, Nicole Ziba, she's a fashion guru. She's a college professor. She's a sister. She's a friend, a wife, a mom of 2 very gorgeous children. And I'm blessed to call her my friend. So let's start with fashion. And what really sparked your interest? Like when you were a child, what sparked your interest in fashion?
So it's funny because as a child, initially I wasn't interested in fashion like for myself, but I was like Barbie obsessed. So, Barbie always had to look good. I had like all these dolls. They all had to have like long hair that I could braid. So I guess there was always a low-key interest in fashion and style, even though I was a uniform wearing Catholic schoolgirl who I feel like my clothes fell into 3 buckets, either uniform, play clothes, and church clothes. Yes. And I know that the culture started shifting like around those middle school years, when you start going to people's birthday parties. And, I remember, I'm not going to say whose party it was, but she's a Facebook friend. I remember going to her birthday party in the 5th grade, and I wore a church dress because that's what we used to wear when you went to people's birthday parties.
Right.
And all of a sudden, my friends were in like designer type jeans and like trendy tops. And I was like, oh, okay.
What is happening here?
Like a culture shift that was happening that I wasn't aware of. And then I have an older sister. She's a couple years ahead of me, and she started reading like 17 magazine and, all those different magazines. So I would flip through them and, again, at that point, started thinking about fashion in terms of like, how do I look? What do I want to wear? And I was always drawing. I used to illustrate books. I used to design things, but, my clothing was whatever my mother bought me. And then the big shift happened when I went to high school. I'm from New York City. I'm from Brooklyn. And for those who aren't familiar with the way that New York is, when you go to high school, you can pretty much pick a public high school in any of the 5 boroughs to attend. And the process might look a little different these days, but ultimately you had a list. Some schools had tests, other schools had other assessments. And I, was going to go to Catholic school, and one of my teachers was like, yeah, but you still got to pick some public schools. You don't know what, your parents' situation is, or, what's going to happen. Pick some schools. And one of the schools that I put on my list was High School of Fashion Industries in Manhattan. And I remember going up there because you had to take a test. It was like a placement test. And just being in awe of being in Manhattan, hung out after the test longer than, it took for me to be in Manhattan, hung out a little bit longer, and like became just completely enamored with being in Manhattan. But the funny thing is that, you hear about imposter syndrome and how you doubt yourself and what your abilities are. And that was one of those moments where I doubted myself because, like I said, I used to draw, I used to design. I loved clothing, Barbie, and all that stuff. But when it came time to go to high school, I decided to go the business route instead of the design route because I didn't think that, I don't a portfolio, like you want to see my work. And I was like, I'm not on that level. I'll study the business side of it. So I went into the business of fashion, and, I've pretty much been in that realm of fashion my entire career until like recent years when, what I call my frustrated creative has tried to come out and manifest its way in a lot of different ways without me having to really force it. So, but that was like the beginning of me being interested in fashion. Even though I didn't pursue initially like a creative side of it, I definitely was, interested. Do you hear them? I'm live with Auntie Candace, y'all. All of Facebook can hear you. Anyway, so that was the beginning of me being interested in, in fashion, but kind of shying away from the creative side for a while because I was like, I don't know if I'm that creative type. I don't know if I fall into that bucket. So, placing myself in a bucket that I thought I should be in that was kind of tangent to what I really wanted to do.
Do you ever look back on that decision and say, I should have chosen differently? Or do you appreciate?
Absolutely. No, I wish I could say, you know what, but the path that I traveled on was a good path. And no, I really look back and I say that I wish that at like 14, 15, I was bold enough to say, you know what, whatever I don't know, they can teach me. It's school, right? That's what they're supposed to do. Like, you teach me how to sew. You gotta teach me how to make a pattern. You got to teach me how to do the things I don't know. I'm coming to you, an empty vessel, pour into me. But instead, when you're, an insecure little teenager who's trying to convince your parents that after K through 8 of being in Catholic school, you don't want to go to Catholic school and you don't want to go to school in the borough of Brooklyn, like the last thing in your mind is also, and guess what? I'm going to explore design because it's like the little drawings are cute. But in my mind, I figured all these people are probably bringing other things to the table. Not thinking to myself that, no, they're 14 and 15-year-olds too, and some of them might be more talented than you, more talented than you. But this is where you're supposed to learn. And so, things turned out well. I've had a great career in fashion, that we could talk about. But I do look back and wish that I had, dug my heels and said, well, let me try this creative thing. Let me see if I can actually do this. Let me learn. Let me actually take this opportunity to learn.
Yeah. I think we all encountered that too with our parents wanting us to, and our parents wanting us to go a certain route. But when we're creative,
it's not practical. How you going to make money? You just want to draw clothes all day long? How you going to make money? I come from a West Indian family. So the thought of that, it was kind of like, I'm going to go into business and fashion seemed a little bit more, rounded and lucrative than I'm going to draw, it just didn't, that would not.
Jail.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
So question then is, okay, you went through you completed that high school program, and then you went to FIT, correct?
No. So again, because when you're a teenager making decisions for yourself, you don't necessarily make the best decisions. So when it came time for college, I got into FIT, but my high school is on the 1 line. My stop was 23rd Street. FIT stop was 27th Street. So in my mind, so you're going to go 1 train station farther than you've been for 4 years. Like, that's really what you want to do with your time. And again, older sister, she's away at college. She's living like this college experience. You go visit her and you're like, this is dorm life. These are parties. This is this. And it's like,
wonderful Nadine.
Wonderful Nadine. And it just felt like going to FIT to me felt like I would be going to the 13th grade. Like, I would just be a continuation of high school, getting up in the morning, walking to Franklin Avenue, hopping on the 2 train, taking it to 14th Street, getting on the 1. I was like, I've been doing that now for 4 years, and it just didn't feel like I was taking a step, and I wanted to go away. And initially, I did not want to go away. Initially, I was like, I'll stay in the city. But it was visiting my sister, and then also like our senior trip. And then third thing was I was in a marketing club in high school, and shout out to all the people who were in DECA. And we made it to, I think, like our regionals, and we went up to Buffalo. So like 3 trips away made me realize that there's some beauty in being away from your very love you, Pop, love you, Pop, love you, Mommy, but kind of overprotective West Indian parents.
Yes.
So when it came time to look at schools, I looked mainly at local schools. But then when I went to that DECA conference, there was Johnson & Wales University, which is in Providence, Rhode Island, had people recruiting there because they had a collegiate chapter of DECA, Delta Epsilon Chi, and they had fee-waived applications to the school as well as scholarship applications if you were part of this club. So I was like, I'm going to apply to this. And I think Johnson & Wales and University of Bridgeport, because they also had a fashion program, were the only 2 schools outside of New York that I actually applied to. And when I got into Johnson & Wales, I was like, yep, I'll go, because honestly, at the time, the cost of going to school there was also a lot lower than staying in New York. So again, I'm going practical Florence, but I'm also like, but I'm out of here. Like, I'm going to go to New England like my sister did. I'm going to, stretch out. I'm going to branch out, spread my wings, still studying fashion because they had an excellent fashion merchandising program. So I really did. Hold on one second. Hun, we can hear you. Anyway, so we had a great fashion program. So, in my mind, it would have made sense, again, career-wise, to stay in New York. It would have made sense to go to FIT, get a nice internship in the city, do all those practical things to set you on the path to a great career. But now I'm 17, and in my mind, I'm like, I want to set myself in a path to a college experience that involves me being in a dorm and not under the watchful eye of an estimate. So I stayed the ground, though. I kept studying my future career. And when I graduated from Johnson & Wales, I moved to Boston and was working within my career, working in stores at first, store management. And then when I decided to go to grad school, I kind of departed slightly from fashion merchandising and studied marketing because I figured it was, aligned with my fashion goals and still in the business. But would broaden me for any other future endeavors. And that probably was one of the smartest educational decisions I made, was getting my marketing and not, just kind of staying in the same box.
Okay, so recently I listened to a podcast you were on, and you were talking about some of the things you have done in the world of fashion, and explain that to the Peace Collective so everybody can understand your expertise in what you actually do.
Sure. So I came into the industry at a time where the expectation was that you were going to do some time in stores before you go corporate. So, initially my experience was store side. First, as the sales associate folding T-shirts. And when I was graduated from college, I was in store management. So that was fun. It was interesting, but I quickly realized that I really had no desire to be around customer facing side of the business for the long term. People bring their worst selves sometimes into stores, and it really tests your religion. And there were times where I was like, somebody's going to lose it today. So I started looking, to the corporate side, and at one point had decided that I was just going to go to school full time. And my best friend had gotten her first corporate job at a now defunct discount store that was headquartered in Massachusetts, where we were living. And they were looking for more people to bring in an entry-level position. So she was like, hey, you really tied to this idea of going to school full-time, or do you want to, apply for this job? So my first job in fashion on the corporate side was as an allocator. And that's the people who literally help analyze the sales, work with the buyers and the planners to determine how many units actually get sent to a store. That's the person who actually presses the button that says, send 12 of that size and that color to that store over here. So my first corporate job is kind of stressful. It's an entry-level job. It's kind of stressful because you're really determining what are these, with help, with aid, but you're really ultimately the one pressing the button, deciding what the inventory levels are going to be in stores. So throughout my time in fashion, I've worked on the buying side. So I've, been the person who sends the merchandise, but I've also worked on the side where you're determining what merchandise is even going to be purchased. I've worked for specialty stores. I've also worked for department stores. I've worked as a visual merchandiser. That probably is by far one of my favorite things to do, which is, dressing the mannequins.
Because that's the creative side
of that. That was the creative side coming out. So, I love, love, love doing that. You don't realize until you're doing it what a big part that plays in driving sales, because obviously what people see and makes them want to purchase your outfit. Something like this, unless it's on a human, doesn't look that great, but you put it on a mannequin and all of a sudden it's like fabulous. You have to have it. Most recent, I've done so many things that most recently, or I guess not, most recently, I work for a company, a major American retailer as a business trainer, because I'm at the point right now where I've done so much in the industry that I now can train people who are coming into the positions that I've worked in to do their job. So to work in the systems that buyers use, to work on the systems that planners use when they're doing the financial plans to determine how much money can they spend on the items. And then I also was able to kind of pivot into teaching, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, as an adjunct professor. That was, definitely fortuitous. I have a soror who's one of my, definitely part of my tribe who looks out for me. We say we're kindred sisters because we have very parallel lives. Shout out Jasmine. And she's in the same industry that I'm in, and had reached out to me one time about a teaching position at FIT. And honestly, I, at that point, was just looking for an additional income stream. We had moved to New York, and New York proved to be way more expensive than living in Maryland, which we knew. I was looking for something else that I could do to just add to the family income. And she reached out to me when FIT was looking for adjunct professors. And I landed a position teaching business math at FIT. And then the very next semester, she reached out to me again because another college, LIM College, which is also in Manhattan, not too far from FIT, and specializes in the business of fashion, was looking for a professor there. And she reached out to me and was like, hey, there's a role over here if you're not, quite settled in a position for the next semester in FIT. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And I landed at LIM. The first dean that gave me a chance at LIM was Jackie Jenkins. Shout out Jackie. And I have been at LIM since. This year marked, I think, my 5th or 6th year this January as an adjunct professor. So it's, my career has led me to a lot of different opportunities. So, I obviously, like I said, I do wish I was bold enough to take that creative route, but I was able to do, pretty well with the route that I landed on at age of 14.
Yes. And that full circle coming back to FIT. Well, what you had planned,
Right. I landed there anyway, somehow.
Yeah, you did. You ended up landing there somehow. Anyway, so my question for you is teaching. How is that impacting you? Like, the next people in this field and industry, how is that impacting you?
So, actually, it's really interesting because, like I said, my initial motivation was we needed an additional income stream. We're a family of 4 living in New York, living in Westchester County. We need, some additional funds. What can I do that fits into our schedule, that doesn't disrupt the family dynamic because I'm, all over the place, and, teaching became it. But I quickly learned that I really enjoyed being in the classroom with the students. So my first class at FIT, I was teaching undergrads, but since moving on to LIM, I've been teaching graduate students. So these are students who are working on their Masters of Professional Studies. So they come to me, some of them come from other industries. Some of them, their mama and them wouldn't let them study fashion when they wanted to. So they got business degrees, they got psychology degrees, they got, communication degrees. They got degrees that their families deemed were, money-making degrees and worthwhile investments. And they never lost that drive to be in the fashion industry, and they're now trying to be career changers. Going to school, trying to figure out, what do I do? What do I need to know? I also have a lot of people who are the creatives who want to, eventually work for themselves or just want to understand the business better. And they're like, I don't have a business education. I know how to sew. I know design. I know pattern making. I know textile, but I don't know how to run an actual business. And if I want, some of them want to be brand builders, and they're like, I can't build a brand just knowing the creative side. And, and I tell them all the time, like, there's plenty, a designer or a design brand that has had to be bailed out by partnering with someone who knows the business side, because the creative doesn't bother knowing that side of it. And, and going, belly up. So I get a lot of career changers. I get a lot of creatives looking for that education. And I love it. I love it because I'm also still in the industry. So that works to my advantage as well as theirs, because I'm like living it right now. So when they talk about things that they want to do, or, they have these pie in the sky ideas of what they should be doing. And then I can come with the realness, like, well, let me tell you, that's not
this is how it really works.
It's not going to be easy. Like, we don't, what's going to make your brand unique? Like, what's going to make you stand out? Because someone else just launched something very similar. What are you going to do? And then I also have friends who are in different parts of the retail industry. Some are creatives, some have launched their own brands, some are in e-commerce. So I've been able to bring them into the classroom as well, so that they can also see faces that are doing it. So that, when they have these pie in the sky ideas of what it is that they want to do, it's like, well, here's someone doing it. And here's the pitfalls that he has had, in doing it. So, I find it to be very, very rewarding. I find it to be exciting. It's a lot of work because I do have a full-time job. So, so educators, I hear you. I'm grading too. I'm creating assignments. I'm trying to find ways to make it less of a burden by giving, group projects and everything I can think of, while also making it, interesting and, hopefully exciting for them. So it is a lot of work, but, I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it.
And that whole thing about you're still double dutching in both worlds, the business side, the creative side, and teaching them, and then providing opportunities for them to hear from people in the industry, like the real, like, okay, this is pie in the sky. Here is the anchor.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is one who had an idea one time too. Let her talk to you about how many ideas she had until she got the idea that actually worked. So, it definitely, I benefited by having a fashion education, both in high school and college. So I know the things that resonated with me. And yes, you can sit there and listen to your professor talk and talk and talk. But I also liked when they brought in. So I still remember in high school when they brought in somebody from like the International Gemologist Association talking to us about gemology. And every so often I'm like, I should have gone into jewelry design, because he was so interesting to me that later I think about this man bringing in these raw, uncut gems and talking about what they see and what they look like, and how it is that they determine what's good and what's not good, and what goes to like the high-end jewelry stores and what cuts are going to go to your mall jewelry store, and and I remember being fascinated by that. So I can only hope that when I bring people into the classroom that it resonates with them as well, and that it sticks with them as long as later on they're thinking about, yeah, my professor brought that person in who talked about this. They talked about this, and that they can apply it as they forge into their careers.
I'm pretty sure that it does resonate with them, and that they appreciate you and what you're bringing to the table. So don't worry about that. I want to shift gears just a little bit to talk about, first of all, the caftan. Yes, so I know we were both going back and forth about what caftan should I wear? What should I wear? So talk about the caftan, the off the shoulder caftan that you're wearing right now. I love it. Where'd you get that? Tell us more about that particular caftan.
Yes, so this beauty that I am wearing is by a brand called Grassfields. Mm-hmm. And Grassfields it's one of the favorites with my cuties. A few of us have bought from them.
Mine too.
Have bought this caftan. So this is by they're twin sisters who are Cameroonian. They were both UK educated, and one of the sisters got an idea to launch a clothing brand. It had a totally different name before. I think let me not get to lying and try to remember what the name was before they changed to Grassfields. But she wanted to return to Cameroon, partner with her twin sister to create a clothing brand that was their own brand, and that's also made by artisans local to Cameroon. So they have a slew of men and women that help them design and make the beautiful clothing that they put out. They don't only make kaftans, they make, the sets and dresses, everything. Their stuff, head wraps, their stuff is beautiful. And if you actually go to the Grassfields website, you can click and see who their makers are. They have bios on every single person that works for them that helps make the item. So it's not just like some nameless, faceless, machine in some factory somewhere overseas. It's, people on the continent who are, have a sustainable life because they're working for this company. By working for women who are from their country. So it's once again, it's not someone coming in from the outside saying, hey, can you make this stuff for me? Like, they are of Cameroon, and they have people native to the land creating the items, and the bios are fascinating, and they're so skilled and so talented, and the work that they put out is so beautiful. And I went back and forth on what to wear. Candace and I were texting. We were trying to figure out what to wear, and I have quite a collection of kaftans that I could choose from, a lot of different brands that I've bought from, and I actually was digging in my pile of unopened kaftans to look for something else in the package from Grassfields, and was like, wait, I can wear the kaftan that was made by the sisters. So that is what I'm wearing today. That is what I'm wearing.
Well, it's gorgeous, and I'm definitely familiar with Grassfields. And I see Nadine has posted Grassfields, my favorite clothing line, period, with the T on the end. And a lot of my work clothes come from Grassfields, and they have some gorgeous clothing. It took me a while to decide what I was going to purchase from there. What about the caftan next to you on the, what do you call that?
Bust form or dressed form. It's really a dress form because it goes down to the torso. Yes.
Okay.
Naomi and I, my daughter and I, are trying to name her, but we haven't agreed on a name yet for her. But this is my little friend here. So the reason why this caftan is on here, it's very significant. And as we pivot into talking about the origins of the group, this is the first caftan that I wore when we had our first caftan Saturday. This is the first caftan that I ever owned. This was gifted to me by my girlfriend, Yvonne, who way before we ever knew this would happen, kind of started planting the nuggets of the day that we would turn into Caftan ladies.
Yes.
We didn't know what we were speaking into existence at the time. But we had a conversation years ago where we were talking about, all those marks of being grown. And we were like, when do we get to be the women who wear the big hats that block everybody when we go to church? When do you get to be the ornery old lady who says anything when people walk in the house like, that's not the girl you brought last week? Like, when do we get to be her? And one of the things we had said was, when do we get to be those women who just kind of float around the house, giving Lola Falana vibes in like a caftan? And then for my birthday, this is probably like a good, 13, 14 years ago, she gifted me a caftan, and I remember her writing in the card, "You're a caftan lady now." And it was funny, and we laughed. And I probably wore it once and was like, okay, this is cute. And then, it was kind of like relegated to the closet because I was like, oh, yeah, but, what am I wearing really? Like, what am I doing? And she came, but she's moved with me because I was like, one day I'm going to be that person. So she's moved with me every time I've moved. And, when we launched the group, when I launched the group that first weekend in April, this was the one that I wore because this is what I had. This is what I had in my class. I've since found one that my mother-in-law gave me that will make an appearance at some point. But this was the grand dame of the caftans that I wore.
Yes, it is quite grand. It's beautiful.
I love it.
So now that we're talking about caftans, let's talk about where this whole thing came about. I know quarantine and COVID put us all in the world was at a standstill. And just tell us where this birthed, how this came about.
So yeah, we had our, as Beyonce said, world stop. We had a world stop moment. And I'm in New York, as I mentioned. So New York, because we have Cuomo, New York was one of the first states that was like,
hit hard.
Stay home.
Yeah.
I went to work on March 13th. My intention was to work from home I worked from home half a day, March 13th. I went home early. My intention was to work from home on Monday. My job, we had just spoken about trying to work from home 2 days a week and only have to come into the city 3 days a week, trying to minimize the amount of time that we were coming into the city. So my intention was to stay home the following Monday and return to the office on Tuesday. And on that Monday, my company basically went into lockdown and was like, if you don't have everything that you need to work from home for the foreseeable future, you should probably go in and get it. And luckily, because I was planning on working from home anyway, the following week, I had brought everything that I could possibly need. Anything else is digitized. So I didn't have to pack up my whole desk to come home to work from home. I needed my laptop, a few files, and that was it. So just like everybody else, it came out of nowhere. Everyone probably feels the same, where the last time I went out, I didn't know that would be the last time I went out.
Yes.
You don't know. The day after my last day of work, I went to Brooklyn for my niece's 13th birthday party. And after that Sunday was the last time that I went outside for weeks, literal weeks. And it wasn't that hard because it was cold and it's March. So at that point, I'm like, if y'all want me to stay at home, I'll stay at home. And I was working. So during the day, I would log into my laptop, work, regular work hours, log off like around 4:35. I was also teaching my class they were off on spring break and they were told not to come back into the city. So just like all the other educators, I had to quickly turn my face-to-face class into an online class. Yeah. So, like everyone else, I kind of figured out what do I need to do so that I can, work, continue working. That was my initial focus was, okay, I'm working. My kids are not in school. So, they had been on spring break. So it was like all this stuff that we were trying to figure out. And then, you come to the realization that this is going to last for a little while. So, then bring in the distractions. People who I didn't know could boil water, all of a sudden are posting pictures of souffles. that they made because they watched the YouTube video and now you a maker. And and everybody was like doing all types of stuff.
Sewing and all types.
Yes, we were doing all types of things just to stay busy. And I started, I used to go to a place in the city for dance classes. Shout out to Banana Skirt. And we, they took their platform online. So I started taking dance classes online. People started Zooming. And at first it was fun until we realized our jobs were going to have us Zoom in, and now everyone's all Zoomed out.
Yes.
I started finding different things to do myself. And one weekend, a group of I'm in a sorority. I'm in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and a pair of sorors hosted a virtual tea, and it was beautiful. We raised money for charity. We invited different sorors, and I asked them if I can invite my older sister Nadine, because she's a soror as well. And I was like, could I invite her? And they were like, yeah, no problem. So we're on it, and we're chit chatting, and she mentioned that she was going to embrace her inner Mrs. Roper and start wearing caftans to work from home. So I should probably, no, I wasn't furloughed at this point yet. So I still have work as a distraction, but we were like, what would you mean? And she's like, yeah, I'm at home. I want to be comfortable, but I want to look, good as I'm working. So I'm going to start wearing some of the caftans that I have. And everyone on the Zoom was of a certain age. So we all knew what she meant when she said embrace her inner Mrs. Roper, because we all have the vision of Three's Company and Mrs. Roper floating in with these flowy caftans. Y'all, a caftan is not a muumuu. I'm just going to tell you that. Let me just get that out the way. Stop calling it a muumuu. Muumuu is culturally a Hawaiian outfit. And follow my blog because I'm right about that, why a caftan is not a muumuu. But Mrs. Roper would float in these caftans and all her beads and her bangles and all her extraness. So everyone related to that. Everyone could also relate to our moms, our aunts, our grandmas also wearing not a house coat, not a house dress, but a caftan. And, I immediately started thinking about my own mother, and she had this like dashiki printed caftan that was one of her go-tos for like when she was like hosting stuff at home. And she, would quickly transform herself from being, cooking, the bonnets on the head and, like trying to get everything ready to, oh shoot, people are coming in like a half an hour and like floating downstairs in this caftan. So we were like, oh, wow, that's cute. Haha, funny. So I believe it was a Tuesday after that tea, she tags me in a picture on Facebook showing me that she had purchased 3 more caftans it was Groupon, I think. She had purchased 3 more. And I was like, that's really
cute. I was tagged in that too.
She tagged me too. So yeah, so I was like, that's funny. That's really cute. So for some reason, I started thinking that would be so cute if we just told people to do the same. Like pick a day, we all wear caftans. And, we just kind of like, I had been wearing a hoodie. I'd been getting up. I'd been showering every day. I'd been doing my little sheet mask every day, trying to keep everything glowy. But I was getting up and putting on a new pair of sweats every day. It was cold. It was March, April. So I'm wearing a hoodie and leggings, hoodie and sweats. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, we should all just kind of shed our quarantine uniform. Whatever your uniform has become, pajamas, sweats, whatever it is, shed it for a day, wear a caftan. And I posted on my page that I was declaring the first Saturday of April, Caftan Saturday. And I said exactly that. I was like, shed your quarantine uniform, wear a caftan on that day, post a picture on your timeline. And I said, use the hashtag Cutie in a Caftan so that other people can find your posts on social media, especially Instagram, because Instagram is very sensitive to those hashtags. If you are interested, follow a hashtag and not an account, because you will find everything that's posted that follows that hashtag.
You will.
So shout out to my girl, Tanya Lobo in Florida, who I've known since kindergarten, for saying, are you going to start a group so that we can see the pictures of the people who we don't know? Because, she's like, I don't know all your friends. I'm not even friends with your sister. So in her mind, she's like, I kind of want to see the pictures too. Yeah, I can follow the hashtag, but she was like, are you going to start like a group page or something so that we can just put the pictures there? And I was like, yeah, I could do that. So you mentioned the word community early on. So I want to, before I continue, I just want to kind of impress upon those watching that from the very beginning, Caftan Cuties has been a community.
Yes.
Caftan Cuties exists because of ideas that other people have poured into me that I say, I can manifest that. I can do that too. And, circling way back to the beginning of the conversation where I say how Candace and I always talked about doing something, I've always had that conversation with myself where I'm like, I feel like I should be doing something more. What is it? And people will tell you different things like, when you're going to write that blog, when you're going to start that video blog, when you're going to start doing fashion styling, when you're going to start doing wardrobe consulting, and all those things I've always been like, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. But it's never like been that fire lit in me that I'm like, yes, I will do that. This was simple. This was organic. This was, let's just do this for a week. Let's do this group. This will be fun. And we had something to look forward to for a week because we were like, on Saturday, we're going to put on caftans. It's going to be really cute. And we're going to take pictures and it's going to be fun. So I start the Caftan Cuties group. I just start checking randomly off names. If you didn't get one of the invitations from me, charge, Facebook, not my heart, because the names that popped up in order, I just kind of clicked off names. So I, invited a bunch of people and people joined. And the very first Caftan Saturday, I think we had like maybe 50 some odd people join and maybe 20 some odd people who actually posted pictures.
Yes.
And it was fun. I even did a video because the weather cooperated that day. So I went out in my backyard and I took a video and had my son take pictures, and people were posting pictures throughout the day. And I was like, this is cute. This is fun. But then you might have been one of these people, Candace, but I had a couple people who were like, damn, I don't have a caftan. Or dang, I didn't, I missed this. I'll be there for the next one. And I was like,
next one.
I was like, this was an April 8th thing. Like, I was like, there's going to be a next one. But little by little, people were piling on saying, yeah, I'm going to order a couple. Where did you guys get those from? And yeah, I want to do this. Like, that looks like fun, but I don't have any. And then I had other people who made it very clear that, like, my husband thinks it's a muumuu, I'll never wear one, but y'all look cute. So people were in the group who probably had no intention of ever posting, but were enjoying seeing the pictures and, you know. And then there was another phenomenon that happened was that people weren't just looking at the pictures, but they were commenting on the pictures and telling everybody how beautiful they looked, how pretty they looked. Is that your garden? Is that your deck? That's pretty. Where'd you get that from? People were telling stories of their caftans. I got this from my great aunt who passed years ago, and I've never had a reason to wear it, so I'm wearing it today. So I'm watching this kind of unfold, and I'm watching these, women, at first, mostly women who are interacting with each other, who don't know each other.
Yeah.
Who's, at first, their only common link is me. But they're saying, wow, that's beautiful. You look great. Or, and people are saying, you gave me a reason to put on lipstick today. Or I haven't worn makeup in a week or in a month. Or I haven't worn jewelry, since I got put on lockdown. It gave everyone a reason to just kind of get it dressed up. So I said, okay, I'll look at the calendar. I'll just randomly pick another Saturday. And I said, I'll do it in 2 weeks because then that gives anybody who wants to participate a chance to order a kaftan and join in. Well, in the meanwhile, my good sis Simone reaches out because this was when those Don't Rush challenges were sweeping the interweb.
Yes, I forgot about that.
She goes, we should do a Don't Rush challenge, Cutie Cat edition. And again, because I'm like, sure, I was like, we can do that. So, I was like, who wants to participate? And, we put together a video where we were kind of passing the kaftan and transforming ourselves from whatever we had been previously wearing into a beautiful kaftan. And we launched the second Caftan Saturday with the video, showing everybody this is us getting ready. Then I had another friend, my friend Tamika, who said, I think we need signature cocktails. And she brought a cocktail and a mocktail for the non-drinkers like myself for us to sip on while we're wearing our caftans. So we're posting these beautiful recipes in there. And then, randomly IG puts a tray on, advertising for a charcuterie tray on my IG account. I think of my girlfriend, Karen, who likes charcuterie. And I say, hey, Karen, this tray is for you. And she goes, caftans and charcuterie go hand in hand. And I'm like, light bulb, can you come up with a nice menu of what people should have on their nice charcuterie tray? And the next thing you know, we're doing caftans and charcuterie. So it just has kind of gone from there, and it grew into a community. And, along the way, I'm celebrating getting to 100. Then I'm celebrating getting to 300. And then I'm celebrating at 600. And then, it's going up and up. And it wasn't long until I got to a point where when I look at it, I can see the breakdown of the cuties in the group who are my social media friends versus the cuties in the group who I'm not connected with on social media friends.
Yeah.
And the people that I'm not connected with on social media far outnumber the amount of people in the group who are my personal social media friends. It's actually amazing because people who have joined the group have brought other people along because they thought, you know what, this group is something that she needs. So I'm just going to invite her into the group and you join it and you come in. And, you know, some of the people, you know, I know when they bring them in and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, her. And other people, I'm like, I don't know who that is, but she looks fantastic. You know, and other people are in there who don't post at all, but still will like give these affirmations to the people who do post pictures saying, you guys look beautiful. You know, you guys look wonderful in that caftan. And, you know, it's definitely become a family affair. It's definitely been a family affair. You know, and I keep using the word community. It sounds redundant, but that's what it has grown into.
Yes, and it's beautiful. It's so affirming. And well, I just want to give a quick shout out to, I'd say the Caftan Cutie auntie is Yvonne.
Yeah.
And the Caftan Cutie godmother is Nadine, your sister.
Yep.
Because without the two of them, you know, planting the seed, and then Nadine saying, "I'm my inner Mrs. Roper is about to come out." I mean, it would not have sprouted, but it is such an affirming space. And I know, like, there are times when I just go look at the pictures and I'm like, "Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's great. Oh, I love this. Where did you get this?" And then you go on this shopping frenzy. I mean, okay, so the caftan I have on right now is the first one that I purchased for that second Caftan Cutie Saturday. I was so excited when it came in the mail. I got it from Ashro. Okay. And I don't know if you all can see the Ashro. This whole catalog that, you know, our parents used to get back in the day.
Joked about it when I launched the group. She said, "Oh, so you finally gonna find use for all those Astro catalogs?" Make fun of. And I was like,
I used to say, "Why am I getting these?" And now I'm like, "Oh yes, I just got my Astro." But and then asking each other, "Where did you get that, Caftan? Where did you get?" And then the photographs that the women are posting of them, they are just phenomenal. And
like out in their outdoor living spaces. Because they're like full on photo shoots some weeks. There's a cutie that I speak to quite often that we did an on the phone tutorial of how to use the timer on her front facing camera so she can take her own pictures when no one is there or willing to take the pictures for her. So like sometimes you're feeling yourself and you're like, just holding up and do a selfie won't do.
Yes. And then you have like my daughter last Saturday was Caftan Saturday for the 4th. And
Independence Day from stress.
Yes, independence from stress. And so my daughter, by the end of the night, she said, "Well, I have something that looks like a caftan." And I said, "Oh," and she did. It's like a little dress that she's had for the longest time that she couldn't wear because it was too big. She put it on. I was like, "This is perfect." And so we went outside and we took our picture. And she said, "I want to be a Caftan Cutie too." So it's just the space is just so affirming. And oh, wait. Some of these comments that are popping up. Nadine says, "I bought a tripod for pictures." The photographers are lit. Love the photos and stories behind the caftans. Yes, which are the best. Also love. Yes. Okay. So thank you, Elisa, because Elisa just said, "Love that men are participating."
Yes.
So we do have some very adventurous.
We do. So our very first, I call him our caft man, was my friend Franz Cayo. And he decided he was going to jump in with both. He's a Leo like me. So he like jumped in with both feet and was like, "I'm going to buy some caftans." And he actually did. And he posts it. He does pictures in his backyard. I think last week I think it was the 3rd of July, it was the day before the 4th. He had pictures of him and his wife outside eating their barbecue and he's wearing his caftan. So he jumped in. And then I have a cousin named Karen who I think it was her husband's birthday. She did a photo shoot with her husband, and her two daughters, all wearing kaftans. Beautiful, beautiful family. And then I have another lady who posted this past week, who was celebrating, I think, like her 39th wedding anniversary. But last week she posted her and her husband, and he too was dressed up. So it's a beautiful thing. I keep telling my husband, I'm like, he don't remember. He says it's not a kaftan, but he used to wear a kaftan-esque kind of outfit when he was trying to woo me back in the day. So I told him I'm gonna go in the trunk and I'm gonna find it. I'm like, my wedding anniversary is coming up too. So I'm like, I'm gonna need you to get with the program and get with my little photo shoot. He contributes in other ways. He's also another thought person who's gonna be some really great ideas. But I keep telling him it's not official until he actually dons it and gets in a picture. So I'll twist his arm at some point and get him involved.
I didn't even mention it to my spouse. He's like, he didn't mind all the packages coming in, because he was like, okay, you're doing your thing with the kaftan. I said, well, let me order one for you. And he was like, babe,
I draw the line. This is where we depart.
But
it really has been an amazing thing. And it's one of those things where one of the cuties said this, like the first week that she came into the group and posted a picture. She said that I created something that I didn't even know we needed.
Yes.
And we know that there's things going on in the world. We know that there's horrific things going on in the world. We know that that's not new. It's just isn't. We've all been dealing with terrible things. We've had our own personal tragedies, and then we have to deal with the tragedies that we hear on the news. And then we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So, just add that for a good measure. So, it's not that no one in the group knows what's going on. It's not that we're oblivious to what's going on. People, as we go about our normal lives, everyone is impacted, and they're governing themselves accordingly. There are cuties who are going to marches. There are cuties who are hosting, social justice Zooms. There are cuties who are, their families, my family who has, my husband has hosted political fundraisers online, so everyone is participating in everything else that's going on outside of the group. Mm-hmm. But when we come in, the group it's our
yeah.
And we're not discussing politics, because we know what's going on. We're not discussing, the injustices that are happening to Black and brown people. The group, although it is largely Black women in the group, I do have women in the group who are white women. I do have one person asked to join one day, and she was in Mexico, and I was so excited because I was like, oh, we international. So we have women that are coming from different backgrounds. We have, and even within Black, we have women who and men who are, from U.S. born, bred Americans, and then we have, people like me we were also raised Caribbean. So then we have, that added piece of it. So we bring so many different things to the community. We don't come in there with the burden. We come in there because we're trying to shed the burden. We come in there because we want that moment. And like you said, even on days where you're like, I'm not wearing a kaftan, you'll come in there to the group just to see the pictures of who did post today. What are they doing wearing their kaftan? What are you eating? What you drinking? How you know? And the way that some of the members have described the way that they feel is amazing to me, because it speaks to the literal and figurative feeling of the kaftan, that you're shedding your uniform, you're shedding your armor. You're shedding that sackcloth and ashes that you've been, dragging yourself around in, and you're sliding on something that's lighter. And it's very symbolic of coming into the group, shedding yourself of whatever was holding you, burdening you. It's going to be there, but right now I'm coming to the group because I just want something light right now. I want to see somebody posing with their peonies in their beautiful kaftan that they just had delivered from Egypt. I want to see that. I want to see beauty. I want to see light.
Yeah. And I agree with you totally. And knowing that you have that moment that, like Nadine just put up, shed the burden. You have that moment where you're shedding all of just the heaviness of everything and putting on this kaftan and maybe a little makeup and some earrings you haven't worn in a while, and you're taking your selfie and you're posting it, and then people say, "Oh, that's gorgeous," or "You look beautiful in that," or "Oh, look at that." It's like, oh,
you're talking about me. It makes me feel so good because I'm sure the rest of the time you're wandering around the house, you don't necessarily feel at your best. You don't feel pretty.
yeah,
You don't have, even my younger sister, Jessica, like she's younger than me. She's not necessarily about that Caftan life quite yet. She's about the actual catalog, but there was
we gotta bring her in the fold.
Caftan that I wore early on in the group, and she commented on it. Now that one I like. So I went online and I ordered it. And I sent it to her. And on Mother's Day, she wore it. The hair was done, the makeup was done. She did a full-on photo shoot in the backyard, pictures with her daughters. Like she was like, "Okay, babe," and she's not going to jump in every time I do an event because again, that's not necessarily her thing. But even she found that moment where she was like, "Okay, I can slide in right here. I feel good." It was short. It was sassy like her. And, like it's not necessarily for everybody. That's why there are a lot of members. We have over 1,000 members. And not everybody posts, and I see all the posts. I go through and I will go through and I will look because I don't want to miss pictures. So I see everyone who posts, and there's a lot of the same people who will post. Yeah. There's a lot of people who just look because they want the visual. They're not necessarily going to wear a caftan. They're like, I think they look terrible on me, but they love seeing everybody else in them. So, everyone gets out of the group what they want to get out of the group.
Yeah. Yep. Tell me, okay, so 2 things real quick. One, tell me about the peacock. Where does that come from?
Oh, the peacock. So, might have been Caftan Saturday number 3. I forget, but there was one weekend where I wore a floor-length caftan, and it had this beautiful peacock print on it. It's gorgeous. It took pictures of me, and it was probably by far one of my favorite caftan. I like it so much that when I launched my blog, it's like the wallpaper of my blog page.
It's a beautiful caftan.
Beautiful. And because of it, I became fixated on the peacock. And I was like, I look at us in the group, and when we put on our caftan, we are definitely peacocking around. Like we are, it makes sense that I identify with the 2 animals in the animal kingdom that the male is the pretty one. I'm a Leo, and the lion the male gets the mane. The male gets the big furry mane. And peacocks, the peahens are kind of like, hey, but the peacock, he's like gorgeous. And I just fixated on peacock. And I wanted to understand, because in my mind I was like, this is my spirit animal. But I wanted to know, well, what is symbolism of the peacock? If I'm going to adopt this as a symbol, because I love the dress so much. So I looked it up. And I really actually loved what I found out about it. And it seemed like it was kind of divine intervention that I would end up with that caftan, end up so drawn in by this bird. And what I found was, I'm going to read this because I was like, I'm not going to remember all of this, but the peacock symbolizes and personifies grace and dignity. Like effortlessly beautiful and captivating in every nuance and move. The unfolding of the peacock's tail figures is as elegant as a ballet dancer, sensual and exotic, telling a story of romance, attraction, and allure. If that ain't my cuties,
wow,
on our caftans, I don't know what is. I was like, yes, like I have goosebumps even reading the words. And then some words that I found attached with the peacock as a symbol were beauty, freedom, nobility, integrity, vision, refinement, protection, self-expression, and watchfulness.
Oh,
and I was like, this is it.
Yeah,
this is it. I'm like, this is our symbol. This is the symbol of the Caftan Cutie, because and it was further than we put on our caftan and start peacocking around because we feel good, but all those things, we feel exotic, we feel sensual. We feel beautiful. We feel noble. I look at the pictures and I'm like, she looks so regal today. We put them on and we become this peacock.
Yeah.
I don't want to say we become the peacock. The peacock in us comes out because we don't become something new. It's us.
Our feathers come out. Yeah.
The feathers, we give ourselves, when we come into the Caftan Cutie group, we give ourselves permission to be beautiful. We give ourselves permission to have peace. We give ourselves permission to kind of be like, I know all this crap is out there. I know that, like Paris is burning right now. I know. However, I'm here because I need to feel beautiful right now. I need to feel loved right now. I need to feel affirmed. I need to not be in a hoodie for the third day in a row. I need to feel light.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're the peacocks.
I love that. And I think the verbiage that you just read about the peacock, you should post that in the cuties group.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just looked at the clock and I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
This has really been great. And there's questions that I had that we didn't even get to, but that's okay.